When you fall in love, there's an unspoken pact. I am there for you. You are there for me. No matter what. Even when life stretches you thin, your love covers the gaps. But what do you do when the person you love asks you to risk everything? What happens when you follow their lead? You cover their tracks, only to lose it all in the end. November 9th, 2015. It's a warm fall night in Macon, Georgia, a quintessential town in the middle of the state.
People like to think Atlanta is the heart of Georgia, but Macon gives you the traditional feel of Georgia. It's small, it's quaint, it's the peach of Georgia.
These are very good-hearted people who live in this town. Everyone knows everyone.
But just before midnight, the sound of police sirens shatters the tranquility of this small town.
A man called in from a local pizzeria. He had been shot in the stomach, and he couldn't stop the bleeding.
When first responders arrive at the pizzeria, they find the victim fighting for his life.
He's barely conscious, lying in a pool of blood, in and out.
He was in really bad condition. His clothing was soaked in blood.
They don't know if he's gonna make it or not.
With an armed suspect on the loose, police are on edge. But finding the gunman is only half the story. Police will soon uncover a vow of devotion that led one woman to take extreme measures.
They didn't know how deep this story would go. She was willing to put everything on the line for the love of her man.
Born and raised in Macon, 23-year-old single mom Jasmine Holt was no stranger to hard work.
Jasmine Holt was young, fun-loving, feisty, hardworking.
She was very bubbly personality. Everyone loved her, very friendly. People just loved to be around her.
She knew what she wanted out of life and did what she needed to do to get it.
Jasmine hustled hard, balancing 3 jobs to support her 2 young daughters.
Being a young working mother, oftentimes it's difficult to make all the ends meet. You have rent, you have utilities, you have childcare, you have food.
Jasmine took care of her family. She made sure that her kids had everything that they needed.
Jasmine's friendly demeanor made delivering pizzas one of her favorite jobs. And it was during a delivery shift that she'd reconnect with someone who would change the course of her entire future.
Jasmine was delivering pizza when she came upon one of her old high school flames, Warrell Tyson.
She is taken aback because she hadn't seen him in years. There's this big flame that happens between them.
Back in high school, they called Warrell Rel. He was very charming, very personable.
Warrell was just as surprised and equally as happy to see her, and it brought back memories. They instantly reconnected.
He turned on that Southern charm and that charisma that he was known for and moved quickly to asking her out on a date.
From then on, the relationship between Jasmine and Warrell was on the fast track.
So they go out on this date that same weekend, and there's just really this kind of powerful chemistry between the two of them. The conversation's good, they're vibing, there's a lot of laughter, there's a lot of flirting.
They had an awesome time, talked for hours about this and that, catching up on things they missed out throughout the years.
He listened, she listened. They were able to connect with each other on a deeper level. She was giddy, she was smiling from ear to ear. She was like a schoolgirl with a crush.
The attraction wasn't just emotional. Jasmine and Worrell quickly remembered the heat of their high school relationship.
It was like they never missed a beat. They gonna pick back up, or they never broke up.
They can't get enough of each other. People fall in love like the wind, and I think that they had that type of love. I think they had that type of connection and commitment to one another.
It wasn't long before the couple decided to officially commit themselves to one another for life.
Worrell and Jasmine were only dating for a couple months. And within those couple of months, they decided that they wanted to be married.
I think we've all been there where we've experienced that type of strong connection with another person. We just want to give our all to that person.
There's no shortage of love in their relationship. They want the white picket fence. They want the, beautiful home life. It's kind of like a storybook romance.
But little did Jasmine and Worrell know, one bad decision would lead to bloodshed and destroy everything they built together.
It's really remarkable how something that started off with so much promise and hope ended up taking such a dark turn.
November 2015. Police are trying to get to the bottom of what went down during a shooting at a local pizzeria.
It was a horrific scene to see. A man laying in a pool of blood, holding on for his life.
The man was clearly in a lot of pain. He was in and out of consciousness. But before he passed out, he was able to identify himself as 27-year-old Titus Rogers, the manager of the pizzeria.
As EMTs prepared to transport Titus to the hospital, investigators are trying to figure out why he was shot and where the gunman is now.
The police immediately fan out the area because they know they have an active shooter on the loose.
They have to find the shooter before someone else gets hurt.
With Titus en route to the hospital, detectives begin combing the scene for clues.
They're looking for things like fingerprints. They're looking for things like ballistics, bullets, shell casings.
They found a bullet lodged in the wall, which means this must have gone straight through the victim. It came from a .22 caliber gun.
But that's not all. Detectives make an observation that could be the key to breaking this case wide open.
The detectives noticed that there are security cameras on the wall.
The cameras may have vital footage that could help them potentially identify the shooter.
"23-year-old Jasmine Holt was happier than she ever thought possible. After reconnecting with her high school sweetheart, Worrell Tyson.
You can definitely tell the chemistry was there, physically and emotionally.
After just a couple months of dating again, the couple decided to make things official and got married in an intimate backyard ceremony.
Jasmine was madly in love with her husband. I mean, she was just over the moon, starry-eyed in love with this guy.
Jasmine is caught up in a whirlwind of love.
But that whirlwind would soon send Jasmine's life spinning and cause her to risk it all.
She would do anything to show her love for him, even if that means breaking the law.
November 9th, 2015. Police are on the hunt for an armed robber that left 27-year-old Titus Rogers in critical condition during a shift at the pizza shop he managed.
The police got a serious job on their hands. There's still a shooter at large.
As Titus fights for his life at the hospital, police are combing the crime scene for evidence that could lead them to a suspect.
The crime scene investigators recovered a .22 caliber projectile or bullet from the wall of the pizza shop.
Recovering the bullet is a win for investigators, but they also notice another potential lead: security cameras mounted throughout the store.
They are hoping that the footage will give them details to what happened during this crime.
those surveillance cameras will have some video evidence that can show them who the shooter was in this case.
However, they won't be able to get their hands on the footage just yet.
Unfortunately, they can't access these videos until the manager gives them access.
He's the only one that has access to the cameras, and he is currently in the hospital.
Detectives head to the hospital, hoping doctors have been able to save Titus's life. And they're in luck.
Once they get there, they're relieved to know that he is actually in stable condition, and that means that he will be able to speak to them.
Upon making contact with Titus, detectives ask if he can help them access the surveillance footage from the restaurant.
They let him know that security cameras at the store could help with discovering who the shooter was.
Unfortunately, though, Titus has some bad news.
Titus informs the officers that the cameras had just been turned off.
The cameras were off because the pizzeria was going through renovations and they hadn't had the opportunity to turn them on yet.
It's a blow to detectives, but they're still hoping Titus can remember some details that will help them solve this case.
Sometimes you just need to hope that this victim has some kind of information or saw something that connects any physical evidence.
Titus says his memory of the incident is a bit fuzzy, but he remembers it all started right around the time he was closing up the store.
He says around 11, he was closing the store up. His last employee was actually leaving.
The employee was 23-year-old Jasmine Holt.
She did her normal goodbyes, told everybody have a good night.
Titus tells police about 30 minutes later, when he was alone in the pizzeria, a man burst through the door.
According to Titus, the shooter was a black male. He was wearing a gray hoodie, hooded sweatshirt, some blue jeans, and these black shoes that were really kind of pointed at the toe.
The man pulled out a gun and demanded that he give him all of the money that was in the restaurant.
Of course, he's scared and nervous, so he's fumbling, trying to get the safe open.
He didn't know what to do. Just wanted to get through this alive.
And typically in these moments, three things happen. You fight, flight, or you freeze.
When Titus noticed the gunman looking distracted, he decided to fight.
Titus saw that this was his chance. He lunged at the gunman. Startled, the gunman jumped back and pulled the trigger.
Titus felt a lot of pain in his stomach, excruciating pain. He falls to the floor.
At that point, the gunman seemed to panic.
Titus, he looks up, and the gunman is running out the door without getting any money.
Titus was losing blood quickly, and he knew he needed to get help.
And Titus calling 911 with everything that he had left.
It's an incredible story of survival, one that makes detectives even more determined to catch the shooter. They ask Titus if he recognized the assailant in any way. And that's when Titus drops a bombshell.
He tells the officers that the shooter looks like this guy named Rel. He's the husband of the delivery driver, Jasmine.
He's known Rel and Jasmine for years. He said they were good people, and maybe he was just mistaken and that it possibly wasn't Rel. It just looked like him.
He doesn't think that they would be involved, but at the same time, he can't deny the resemblance.
When experiencing a traumatic event like a robbery, it can be very difficult to account for the details. Your memory may evade you, and the details aren't as clear.
Regardless, detectives consider this lead to be their first big break in the case.
At this point, they're kind of beginning to put the dots together. Who is Jasmine Holt and who is Rel? They're wondering now if the two of them may have been involved in this plot.
Detectives are certain this is no coincidence, and they'll soon learn they're on the right track.
detectives are about to unearth a twisted tale of passion and devotion.
Sometimes our passion can blind us. Sometimes our love can blind us.
Jasmine, being a single mom, was trying to find that even balance. Being a balance with being a mom, having a social life, work life, by also trying to find a companion that can kind of compensate some of those areas where she's feeling that void. Once they got married, Jasmine had opportunities to finally be loved. She feels like she is dedicated and loyal to her husband, and therefore she wanted to do anything possible to keep that love, not knowing she could lose everything.
November 2015, Macon, Georgia. Police are on the hunt for a gunman who attempted to rob a local pizza shop and nearly killed the manager when things went wrong.
This is a small town. News gets around quickly, and things like this don't happen every day. It caused a lot of confusion, a lot of worry. People want to know who did this.
When detectives speak with the victim, Titus Rogers, he says the assailant resembled the husband of one of his employees, Jasmine Holt, and Jasmine was the last person to leave the shop before the gunman entered.
It's really suspicious. So they need to get back to the office to do some digging on Jasmine and her husband.
As the morning hours stretch on, detectives run background checks on Jasmine and her husband, Worrell. It's soon clear that this isn't Worrell's first run-in with the law.
He is no stranger to the law. He has previous convictions, gang affiliations.
Jasmine's record, however, is quite the opposite.
They find that she has absolutely no criminal history. She is as clean as they come.
She's never been arrested, never been in trouble.
From the looks of Jasmine's social media page, she even seems distraught by the news of the attack on her manager.
She's asking people, her friends, her followers, to pray for Titus because he's been shot in this armed robbery.
She seems to show and express real genuine concern for what happened to him.
Regardless, investigators take Jasmine's posts with a grain of salt.
Investigators are also pondering whether or not Jasmine Holt is as innocent as her social media posts implicates.
Detectives obtain an address for the couple and head over to the residence. When they approach the home, they recognize Jasmine sitting on the front porch.
When the police detectives arrive, Jasmine is taken aback.
Police ask, can they see and speak with her husband, Worrell?
Jasmine seems confused as to why police would be asking for her husband, but calmly complies.
She says that he's inside and she'll go in and get him.
Moments later, Worrell appears.
Worrell was very nonchalant as he came out the door. He was kind of relaxed, not sure why the police were there.
Detectives tell the couple that they need to come down to the station with them to answer some questions about the robbery at Jasmine's workplace.
They seemed to be very casual. They agreed. They said the kids were in school and they had time, so sure, why not?
Back at the station, detectives decide to start with Jasmine.
They see her as an easy crack, since she has no criminal background.
Detectives cut right to the chase and tell Jasmine that Worrell is their #1 suspect in the shooting of Titus.
Jasmine is in shock and tells them there is no way he could have done it.
Jasmine is like, not my man, not real. She is definitely in defense mode.
Jasmine says that Worrell worked at the nearby gas station and had the closing shift that night, so it would have been impossible for him to commit the crime at the pizzeria.
She says he worked that evening and didn't come home until around 2 a.m. that following morning from work, that he couldn't have been there.
It's a strong alibi, but detectives aren't taking it as fact just yet. They asked Jasmine what her husband wore to work that night.
The victim described the robber as having on a gray hoodie with blue jeans and black shoes with points at the tip.
But Jasmine's description of Worrell's wardrobe is entirely different.
Jasmine says that he had on a bright blue shirt with jeans and blue and orange shoes.
At this point, detectives feel like they had run into a brick wall. They had got nowhere with Jasmine, so they decided to go ahead on and talk to Rail.
Investigators are eager to see if Worrell's statement lines up with Jasmine's. Was he really at work that fateful night?
Police are really starting to get concerned that they have the wrong guy. They need to verify Worrell's alibi.
November 10th, 2015, Macon, Georgia. It's just one day after a botched robbery at a local pizza shop that nearly killed the manager, Titus Rogers. Police think they have the man responsible in their crosshairs, and that he's married to one of the pizzeria employees, Jasmine Holt. But Jasmine insists her husband, Worrell Tyson, is innocent.
She continues to deny it, to brush them off, and she repeatedly told them that her husband could not be the gunman because he was at work all night.
Jasmine stated Worrell would never shoot Titus because that was their friend.
Getting nowhere with Jasmine, detectives decide to move on to Worrell. But he's even more uncooperative than his wife.
The police explained to Worrell that he's been identified as the robber by Titus, the manager at the pizzeria. Worrell laughs and says that that's impossible.
Worrell makes the same claim as Jasmine. He says that while the robbery was taking place around 11:30 p.m., he was busy working at his gas station job.
Worrell told them that he was at work all night. He clocked in around 4 o'clock p.m., and he walked home around 1:25 a.m. No matter how hard police detectives push Worrell, he is adamant that he had nothing to do with the robbery that evening.
If Jasmine and Worrell are telling the truth, and Worrell really was at work that night, perhaps Titus was mistaken when he said the gunman resembled Worrell.
He said the guy kind of looked like Rail, but he wasn't sure.
It was dark, his face was partially covered, he couldn't really see who he was.
However, before detectives can release Worrell and Jasmine from custody, they need to confirm Worrell's alibi with his supervisor at the gas station.
So detectives go to the gas station that Worrell works at. They talk to his boss.
Worrell's boss confirms that Worrell is a good worker. He's a good person. He's never given him any trouble or problems.
And yes, he was actually working here on November 9th, the night that the robbery of the pizzeria happened.
Could Worrell really be innocent?
The detectives are incredibly frustrated. They feel like they're out of luck and that they're starting back at square one all over again.
But before detectives leave the gas station, they decide to throw one last Hail Mary.
They ask the boss if they can check their surveillance cameras to just verify that Worrell was in fact working that evening.
Sure enough, they see Worrell depicted in the video.
But what Worrell is wearing in the footage sets off alarm bells for detectives.
He is wearing a white t-shirt and he's wearing jeans, and he's also wearing a pair of black pointed shoes.
This is a key piece of information because it's almost exactly the description that was provided by Titus.
And it's quite the opposite of the description provided by Jasmine when asked what her husband had been wearing that night.
The detectives remembered that Jasmine actually said that Worrell had on a bright blue shirt, jeans, and orange and blue shoes. It's a huge discrepancy.
But that's not all the surveillance reveals.
Worrell is observed leaving the store at 10:35 p.m. and he doesn't return until what appears to be around 12:17 a.m.
This would have given Worrell ample time to commit the crime at the pizzeria at 11:30 p.m. and turn around and make it back to the store by 12:17 a.m. if someone had given him a ride.
Detectives suspect that someone could have been Jasmine.
Detectives are now feeling more confident that they can make a case against Jasmine and Worrell.
To secure a conviction, they really need this last critical piece of evidence connecting him to this armed robbery. They need to find this gun.
With a search warrant in hand, investigators head back to Jasmine and Worrell's residence.
Police are searching the house high and low. They're checking every crevice, every corner of this house.
It isn't long before they hit pay dirt.
During the search, detectives quickly recovered the gray hoodie that Worrell's seen wearing in the surveillance video and the black pointy shoes.
And then they find the gun, the .22 caliber that matches the bullet that was used at the scene of the crime.
That was an incredible find for the detectives. That was literally the smoking gun.
Armed with this new evidence, detectives decide to take another crack at the couple to see if they'll confess.
They have a lot more facts, more pieces to the puzzle, and it's a game of chess now.
It's soon clear that this time, their suspects' loyalty to each other has wavered.
Here you see trust, betrayal, a lot of miscommunication in regards to how they felt that things should have played out.
She went the distance for her man, and Worrell pretty much threw her under the bus.
November 2015. Macon detectives are piecing together the plot behind a violent armed robbery that took place at a local pizza shop and almost left the manager, Titus Rogers, dead.
His life was hanging on a thread, but the doctors were able to save Titus's life.
Police believe that Titus's employee, 23-year-old Jasmine Holt, and her husband, Worrell Tyson, are responsible for the crime.
You have the .22 caliber gun that's found in their house. You have the gray hoodie with the black pointed shoes that Titus described seeing the shooter wear. You have Worrell, who has that window of opportunity where you see him leaving his place of employment during the time of the armed robbery.
Armed with this new mountain of evidence, detectives decide to interview the couple a second time, in hopes of getting a confession. This time, they start with Worrell.
Police present to him this new evidence that they have. They say that they know that he's done it.
Worrell's stoic demeanor begins to fade.
Worrell knows that he's caught. He knows that there's no way out of this except to tell the truth, and to accept whatever consequences come with that.
Worrell admits he's the one that shot Titus.
Worrell confessed that he went into the store and held Titus at gunpoint. That's when Titus launched towards him. He got scared, and that's when he pulled the trigger.
Worrell wastes no time implicating his wife, Jasmine, in the crime as well.
He admits that she was the getaway driver.
She was in on the entire plan. When Jasmine got off of work, she picked him up, dropped him off at the pizzeria, went down the street.
After shooting Titus, Worrell knew they had to get out of there quickly.
He ran out of the store where Jasmine was waiting for him, and she drove him back to work at the gas station.
It's the confession they've been waiting for. But police want to hear it from Jasmine as well. They decide to let Worrell talk to her, with the cameras rolling.
They observe the two together to see if they can get any more information.
Jasmine at this point has no idea that Worrell has confessed to the officers and implicated her. I don't think that there's any doubt in Jasmine's mind at this point that they're gonna get away with what happened to Titus.
Jasmine tells Worrell that she's denied everything, that she loves him, and that she'll do anything to keep them together.
That's when Jasmine's husband drops a bombshell on her.
Worrell tells her that he told the detectives everything, that he committed a robbery and she was involved too.
Jasmine is visibly shocked.
It's like the rug has been pulled right from up under her. This entire time, she went the distance for her man, and Worrell pretty much threw her under the bus.
She can't believe after everything she's done for her man that he has put her in this position right now.
She lied for Worrell. She stood strong with their story. For him to turn around and spill all the beans. She felt betrayed. She felt hurt.
After her conversation with Worrell, a heartbroken Jasmine agrees to give her own confession to detectives.
She has no choice but to, at this point, tell everything that has happened because Worrell has already, in essence, confessed and implicated her.
She tells police that none of this was her idea. She's hardworking, she's a mother, and she never wanted to be involved in a crime like this.
Here we have someone that kind of just got themselves caught up in like this web, and it got out of control, and it just really went somewhere she, I think, had not planned for it to go.
Jasmine tells detectives the robbery plot was hatched out of desperation.
She explains to them that they have just had a hard time making ends meet, frankly. They were just in so much debt.
Regardless, Jasmine never expected her husband to suggest a robbery as an answer to their problems.
When Worrell first came up with this idea of, doing a robbery, Jasmine was not with it. But he was persistent. He really was trying to sell her on this idea that this was their ticket to some fast cash to help their family.
It would be a one-time only thing. They would never have to do this again. And they would just have so much less stress on them about finances.
She loved him, she loved their family, he meant everything to her, and she didn't want to disappoint him.
He sold her on it, and she really wanted to just please him and support him in his effort to support their family.
Jasmine says they considered where to rob, and Worrell pushed for the pizzeria because it felt like less risk.
Worrell continued to pressure Jasmine, saying that let's just do the place that you work at. You know the ins and outs of the store. Why not?
She knew the store had recently undergone remodeling, and she knew the new security cameras had not been set up yet.
On the night of November 9th, Worrell and Jasmine put their plan into motion.
She tells them that after she got off at 11 p.m., she goes straight to pick up Worrell.
Little did Jasmine know that what she thought would be a simple robbery would turn into bloodshed.
She asked him what happened, and he tells her to just shut up and drive.
In the case of Worrell, it seems that he was concerned mainly with himself. It almost appears that his confession was in hopes that he would get a more lenient sentence. He was so willing to throw Jasmine under the bus, whereas Jasmine was completely devoted. She was willing to lie and to risk it all for him, and he wasn't willing to do the same.
November 2015, Macon, Georgia. Detectives are sitting down for a second interview with 23-year-old Jasmine Holt, who is accused of helping her husband carry out a violent armed robbery at her place of work. Jasmine's husband, Worrell Tyson, has already come clean and admitted to the couple's involvement. Now, Jasmine is telling detectives her side of the story.
Jasmine is extremely upset right now. She cannot believe after all these years, Worrell put her in this position not to protect her, not to have her back, but to betray her.
Jasmine claims the robbery was all Worrell's idea. He promised her it would be an easy fix for their money woes.
That was really strapped for cash. They was drowning in debt.
Jasmine agreed to go along with this plan. She says that this was only supposed to be a robbery, that they never intended for anyone to get hurt.
Jasmine tells detectives that when she picked Worrell up from the gas station before the robbery, she started to have second thoughts.
When he gets in the car with the gun, that's when she gets nervous.
Worrell tells Jasmine not to worry about the gun. This was something just to scare the manager so that he can give up the cash quickly.
Against her better judgment, Jasmine agreed to follow through with the plan.
She trusted her man, so she drove him to the pizzeria.
She parked around the block from the shop and waited.
Jasmine is sitting in the car with her mind racing. She's wondering what's going on inside. She's put a lot on the line. After all, this is her place of employment.
Suddenly, Jasmine heard a gunshot. Seconds later, she saw Worrell running out empty-handed.
Jasmine asked, "What happened?"
Worrell admitted to her that he had panicked and shot Titus.
Jasmine is feeling really responsible, not knowing whether Titus is gonna live or whether he's gonna die.
Jasmine tells detectives she wanted to go back and make sure Titus was okay. But Worrell insisted there was no time.
He just said, "Shut up, just keep driving."
Jasmine admits she followed Worrell's orders and dropped him back off at work to help him create an alibi.
But I think that she didn't think that things would turn out the way that they did. They were a family. They wouldn't turn on each other. They would cover for each other if anything went wrong.
Jasmine is really emotional. This whole plan that they came up with is really just crashing down around her.
Police charged Jasmine Holt with criminal attempt to commit armed robbery. Worrell Tyson receives the same charge, in addition to aggravated assault.
Prosecutors at this point are extremely confident about their case against Jasmine and Worrell. They've got confessions from both Jasmine and Worrell. They've got the victim's statement, and they've got the evidence to the crime.
On October 5th, 2016, both Worrell and Jasmine take guilty pleas for their roles in the armed robbery. At their sentencing hearing, the judge doesn't go easy on the young couple.
Both of them were sentenced to 20 years. Armed robberies are taken very seriously in the state.
Even though Jasmine didn't pull the trigger, she'll still have to suffer the same punishment as her husband.
In the eyes of the law, when you are a criminal co-conspirator, whether you are the getaway driver or the gunman, you are treated the same.
While Jasmine is devastated to find herself behind bars, she's even more devastated to lose precious time with her two young girls.
Jasmine's children are now being raised by her sister. She has lost being able to see her children grow, and she has lost her freedom.
I think what is most disturbing about this case is that Jasmine was a young girl with a bright future ahead of her. She had 2 little girls who needed her. And she just let this relationship, this love that she felt for this man, really just take her completely off her life's track.
In essence, all of this was for nothing. They didn't even get the money that they needed for their family at the time of the robbery. And she sacrificed so much to be in this position.
When you sign up for a life with someone, you expect trust and loyalty, especially when you agree to take a risk for them that could cost you everything. But if loyalty is lost and betrayal creeps in, the scars it creates can run deep enough to destroy your life from the inside out. In Cedartown, Georgia, 18-year-old Khadidra Cook gives up everything to play house with a young rebel.
Khadidra was brainwashed by him. She just didn't care what people thought about him. She was still going to be with him regardless.
It's the cops. But when family and police threaten to break them up, Khadidra is forced out of her fantasy world into a brutal reality.
She was stabbed probably about 40 to 50 times all over her body. She went along with it because that was her man.
And later, in Grand Prairie, Texas, 26-year-old single mother Desiree Satterwhite falls for a man who's long in the tooth with a rap sheet to match.
Charles convinced her that together they could conquer the world.
But when times get tough,
I can't keep living like this.
Charles recruits Desiree as his partner in crime.
But they were focusing on convenience stores, places that they could run in and run out very quickly.
She wanted to please him, even if it meant putting her life and the life of others in danger. All of the cash.
There are hundreds of thousands of women in prison at any given time in the U.S. These are the true stories of women who committed heinous crimes in the name of love. Marietta, Georgia. Life for Khadidra Cook takes a turn for the better when, at the age of 4, she and her sister move in with their dad after their parents divorce in the wake of a rocky relationship.
Very close to our dad because pretty much he was there for us. He done everything with us. He made sure we went to school every day and made sure we kept our grades up.
At a very young age, the only stability that Khadidra had was provided for her by a man.
But their sweet life with the perfect parent comes to a tragic end 4 years later, when an aneurysm takes the life of Khadidra's father.
It happened very suddenly. It was not something they were prepared for.
It's a stunning blow to the 2 young girls. Now, with their father gone and their mother long out of the picture, Khadidra and Jessica are practically orphans. At the ages of 8 and 11, they move in with an aunt on their father's side in Cedartown, some 40 miles away.
Moving with our aunt was going to be, hard because we barely know her, so we just felt like we was going to go live with a stranger, pretty much.
A stranger who can now collect their father's Social Security benefit checks until Khadidra and Jessica are of legal age.
Their father was very caring, very loving. The aunt was a little different. So she knew that she could get that Social Security check and provide some stability for them. So the stability was really strict rules and not allowing them to do really much of anything.
Khadidra goes from being the center of attention from her father to now being in a crowded home, taking up space, and she's there just for a check. So not only does this become a hardship for her, but it also keeps her from getting over the absence of her father.
No longer a recipient of the love and attention she was raised with, by the age of 17, Khadidra grows into a troubled young lady.
She kind of lost her drive, her focus. She started smoking cigarettes and drinking, not really being a participant in much of anything, kind of rebelling against everything.
As Khadidra's 18th birthday nears, a light at the end of the tunnel presents itself when her older sister, Jessica, now a single mother of twins, asks her to move in with her.
I was like, I don't really care too much what you do as long as you don't get in trouble and you stay in school. And she agreed with it. She said, okay. And so I ended up getting us a 2-bedroom. It was me, her, and my daughters.
No longer a minor under her aunt's guardianship, Khadijah is able to stay in high school thanks to the $846 a month she now receives from her father's Social Security death benefits.
Everything was good at first, and then all of a sudden, here comes Eddie.
15-year-old Eddie Lee Clark is a boy with a reputation that exceeds his years.
He was someone that the neighborhood knew who he was, the girls knew who he was, the adults knew who he was, and the police knew who he was. He had been in trouble numerous times as a juvenile. Of course, those records are sealed in Georgia as a juvenile, but basic thefts, robberies, those sort of things was what he was suspected in.
I'm not sure how they met. I don't know if it's just from the streets, from family members.
Eddie's rumored to roll with a local street gang.
Rumor has it that he was exposed to and saw at a very young age. A lot of illicit activities in and around the home where he lived.
He didn't do like kid stuff. Like he wasn't even, I don't even remember ever seeing him going to school. So I just thought he was older. He would drink, smoke.
The relationship developed pretty quickly. I think at probably at first glance. Once they realized they liked each other, they probably became quickly committed to one another.
Why is she always tripping? Eddie catches Khadidra's eye because they like to do some of the same things. Just like him, she likes to drink, smoke, hang out. And in many ways, this is the first time that she's had the approval of a man since the death of her father.
Although he lives with his mother only 1 block away, Eddie spends most of his time in the home Khadijah shares with Jessica.
It didn't really seem like Eddie's mother was concerned about what he did because she ended up kicking him out. I don't know what was the reason why. So my sister ended up letting him stay with us, and I told her, no, you know, that's not a good idea.
Don't you have somewhere else to be?
Jessica! But Eddie stays anyway. Although Khadidra's only known Eddie a few weeks, having him around causes everything else in her life to fall by the wayside. Even school, which Khadijah drops out only 4 months shy of graduation.
Neither of them had a job. Eddie was too young, and Khadijah pretty much subsisted on the money from her father's death.
This was the first time a boy really bonded with her to the extent that she lost sight of self, ignored school, ignored family, ignored everything.
The days pass uneventfully for the couple, until Eddie goes too long without checking in with his probation officer, and the police come looking for him.
He had violated probation, and I believe his mother said, yeah, this is where I last saw him, and pointed toward Khadijah's house.
Okay, well, he's actually in violation of his probation.
But Eddie isn't at Khadijah's house, and neither is Khadijah. For Khadijah, playing hide and seek from the cops with Eddie may seem like fun and games, but it will lead her down a dangerous path with deadly results.
She didn't die initially, so he just kept stabbing her over and over again.
Khadijah was a participant in whatever Eddie wanted, and she went along with a smile on her face.
In Cedartown, Georgia, 18-year-old Khadijah Cook is hiding out with her 15-year-old boyfriend, Eddie Clark, wanted for violating his probation.
Eddie had a juvenile record. I think his mom reported him running away from home.
With eyes and ears on the street, Eddie gets word that the police are looking for him.
Do you see him?
Khadijah and Eddie kind of went on the lam for a few days. They were staying in an abandoned home in the same area where they could see the activities, the comings and goings.
The young lovers return to the apartment Khadijah shares with her sister once they think the coast is clear.
Which that wasn't the case, and police came and picked him up.
It's the cops.
And sent my sister to jail.
Khadijah's done nothing wrong. But she's already lost one man in her life, and she's not going to lose another, so she's going to go along with whatever he says.
The next morning, she is released, under the provision that she can no longer have any unrelated minors in her home.
It wasn't anything she was prosecuted on. It was simply, hey, don't do this again. You're harboring this guy. We could lock you up.
Life returns to normal for the Cook sisters for about a week. Until Eddie is released from juvenile detention sporting an ankle monitor.
She still hung with Eddie, and that's when I just call it quits. I was just like, I can't do it because I'm not finna go to jail behind him, or I'm not getting my kids taken away.
The police said he's not allowed to be here.
With Eddie, Khadijah sees the us versus them mentality by being with him. So when Jessica gives her this ultimatum, it goes exactly the way that one would expect.
You're gonna regret this.
4 months after moving in with her sister, Khadijah uses her monthly death benefit payment to move into her own place and quickly blows through the money.
She gets her check, which is $846. Rent is actually $300. And she also had to pay for utilities. She had to pay to cut on water and gas for the first time.
Within 4 days, all $846 of it is gone.
Khadijah's playing house, but the reality is that she's never been on her own. She's never had a job. She doesn't even know how to handle money. She's just going through the paces. Eddie's only 15, so really these are just youngsters playing the role of adults, and they're really not prepared for what it means to be an adult, to be on your own.
This is the last of it.
To make matters worse, Eddie has secretly moved in and has also cut off his ankle monitor, alerting the authorities, who are now looking for him.
He knew he did not want to go back to court. He did not want to go back to jail. And Eddie sort of had an attitude that Eddie did what Eddie wanted to.
Between the pressure from her family and law enforcement's attempt to keep a constant eye on him, Eddie suggests they go to Mississippi, where he claims to have extended family.
15-year-old's thought process is thinking that, okay, I can go to Mississippi, live with my family, and the police won't bother me there. And Khadijah was all for it. They could live happily ever after.
Khadijah's mind is wrapped up into this romantic ideal as to what a relationship should be. So when Eddie gives her a plan as to how the two of them can run away, she embraces it. In many ways, subconsciously, it reminds her of her father taking control, so she goes with it.
But with nothing left from the monthly benefit check, the two can't leave town, which makes it even more unusual when Eddie tells Khadijah to order some pizza.
We don't have any money, Eddie. She said she didn't understand why, because they didn't even have no money.
Khadijah believed that he had gone home to his mother's home to get some money from his mother.
But Eddie has something else in mind. Half an hour after Khadijah calls in the order, 27-year-old Elizabeth Hutchison arrives with the pizza.
The driver was engaged to be married. She had a 4-year-old child. She had taken this job just simply as a way to make a little extra money.
She got the money in the Khadijah's in the kitchen. First thing she really heard was the doorbell, and then Eddie answering the door and stating to the pizza delivery person, she's in the back.
Where'd you say she was?
And all of a sudden, Khadijah hears a scream.
Khadijah rushes towards the sound, and what happens next shocks her to her core.
She sees Mr. Clark stabbing and hitting the pizza delivery driver.
He used 2 different knives. One knife was a pocket knife that he always carried around, and then the other knife was a kitchen knife that he probably just saw sitting around and just picked up. And he proceeded to keep stabbing and stabbing and stabbing.
We gotta go.
Eddie started to leave. She was in a complete state of shock. Her ability to really understand what's going on is pretty much gone at that point. She's sort of in a fight, flight, or freeze mode.
The two disappear into the night.
They got away with less than $30.
Moments after Khadijah and Eddie flee, a Cedartown police officer arrives on the scene after hearing her agonizing screams during a routine traffic stop up the street.
I just heard some suspicious activity.
So the police show up and see Elizabeth there being a pool of blood, and they talk to her.
I think she's saying something.
She gives a description of both Khadijah and Eddie.
She's gone.
It is the last thing Elizabeth Hutchison will ever say.
She expired there at the house.
And now Khadijah and Eddie are on the run for a lot more than a parole violation. They're wanted for murder.
The night of the murder, I got a call from the friend that I was staying with. She ended up calling me, and she said, police are down here at your sister's house. They're saying that she killed someone. My heart dropped, and I just dropped to my knees and I just cried because I said, this can't be happening.
And later, in Grand Prairie, Texas, 26-year-old Desiree Satterwhite falls for the charms of an older man with a violent past.
He had a significant number of war theft, firearms violations, burglary, and aggravated robbery.
And when he returns to his criminal ways, Desiree is more than eager to go along with him.
Charles introduced Desiree to what he used to do and talked about how they could do it together.
In Cedartown, Georgia, teen couple Khadidra Cook and Eddie Clark are on the lam after police link them to the murder of a pizza delivery woman.
And it was pretty easy to connect them. Khadidra called from her house. The lease was in her name, and everyone there in the town knew that Eddie and Khadidra were always together.
Everybody started calling me. They was like, do you know where your sister is? I'm like, no, like, I'm looking for her. Like, I just found out. Like, what's going on? It really just hurt.
Khadidra and Eddie frantically call friends, looking for a place to hide out. But no one wants to get involved.
Come on, man, I need your help. What?
Most of their friends had their own stuff going on. It may be legal or illegal, and didn't want the police finding out what they were doing.
With nowhere to go, Khadidra and Eddie spend the night in yet another abandoned house, and then are spotted the next morning a mile from the crime scene. As word of their capture gets out, family and friends are in shock.
I wanted to think the best, you know, well, maybe, you know, she wasn't there. But I was like, no, then if she wasn't there, then how she end up with Eddie and why are they running?
Once in custody, Khadidra and Eddie are separated, and Khadidra pleads ignorance.
Khadidra says that I didn't know what was going on. I just made the phone call to the pizza place. That's all that I really know. She was acting pretty confused, hoping that everything would go away and there would be no other questions asked. But that wasn't the case.
She had no idea what they'd done. She had no idea the severity of it. She was inquiring with me about the possibility of a bond. And my comment to her was that, in fact, Georgia still had the death penalty, and this could, in fact, be a death penalty case. She should be concerned with what sort of sentence she could be facing.
Khadidra is in denial. Yes, of course, she called for the pizza delivery, but she didn't rob the person herself. In her mind, she's not guilty of any kind of crime.
Less than 48 hours after the murder of Elizabeth Hutchison, Khadidra and Eddie are both charged with aggravated assault, aggravated robbery, and murder.
She ended up pleading to felony murder. She received life.
When I went to go visit her in jail, she just kept saying, like, how could I be so stupid? Everybody tried to tell me, look what type of situation I'm in.
Although Eddie is a minor, the severity of the crime enables him to be tried as an adult, but without the possibility of a death sentence. Eddie also strikes a deal and pleads guilty. At the age of 17, he is sentenced to life with the possibility of parole after 50 years. The once enamored couple never communicates again.
That love that she had for Eddie was lost very quickly, soon as the reality set in that she was going to rot in jail.
I believe if Eddie Clark hadn't been in her life, I don't believe she'd be sitting in prison. I think Khadidra Cook was simple with the ways of the world, and I think she had some growing up to do. And unfortunately, it happened way too fast, and now she's going to have to grow up in prison.
Khadidra is a very young woman, but she spent more time in jail than she actually spent in the relationship with Eddie. So one could imagine that the only thing she's concerned about right now is to how she's going to get through this prison sentence, how she's going to stay safe, how she's going to live her life.
I wish she had never met him. Her life would have turned out totally different.
Khadidra Cook sacrificed the unrestricted freedom of adulthood for the love of a teenage boy. In Grand Prairie, Texas, Desiree Satterwhite will turn her back on the people who love her for the chance at happiness with an older man. Desiree grows up in Grand Prairie, Texas, in the perfect home life, with the kind of parents every kid sees on TV and wishes they had in real life.
Whether it was navigating through school, life, teen years, or whatever, she had her parents there for her, giving her support.
Her parents were attentive. Her parents cared about her. Her parents loved her.
Even after, at the age of 14, Desiree gives birth to her first child, and she doesn't know who the father is.
She began associating with young men that perhaps weren't doing what they should have done. And she liked the bad boys. She liked the excitement of it.
Sometimes, influences get the best of people. No matter how hard parents try, children can go the wrong way, make mistakes. That's what childhood is for.
With her parents willing to take on some of the responsibilities that come with being a teen mom, Desiree graduates high school, but bounces from one dead-end job to the next. At the age of 23, after another failed relationship, she gives birth to her second child.
She was pregnant again, and once again, she was left without a father for her children. And frustrating for her, but luckily for her, she had her parents to help her.
Too much support and too much permissiveness might have the opposite intent. And for someone like Desiree, instead of using it as a springboard towards success and achievement, instead it pushed her more towards complacency.
For a single mother with 2 children to support, a life means a job. That's when a family member mentions an opening for a receptionist at the local welfare office.
It was her mom who introduced her to the possibility of working at the welfare office, and it was a job that her parents could be proud of.
Desiree takes to her job immediately and becomes a welcoming sight to those in need.
Hi, how are you? Seeing her smiling could make all the difference in the world for them, and I think she realized that.
But after a few months on the job, Desiree's smile hides her feelings of boredom, until the day her routine is broken up by the arrival of 48-year-old Charles Camp, a man down on his luck.
Just sign right here. He was handsome, charismatic.
Man, these are those beautiful eyes. You smell nice, too.
Charming, confident. He's just having a bump in the road right now.
Desiree is intrigued by the much older, smooth-talking Romeo, whose surface appeal hides a violent and criminal past.
He had a significant number of arrests and convictions for theft, firearms violations, burglary, aggravated burglary, and aggravated robbery.
Miss Desiree?
Yes.
And after his most recent prison stint, the Kansas native has relocated to Grand Prairie in search of a fresh start.
He was living with his sister. He had family here. So if he was seeking to leave the Kansas area, this would be a natural place to go.
But once he meets Desiree, instead of a fresh start, he'll find a partner in crime.
She was pumping him up as her Clyde, and he was pumping her up as his Bonnie.
In Grand Prairie, Texas, 26-year-old Desiree Satterwhite is drawn to handsome stranger 48-year-old Charles Camp, a man who, unbeknownst to her, has a violent criminal past.
Charles was a career criminal. He committed a string of crimes. He had been in and out of jail all his life.
Desiree came from a very good home. She had a very loving father. So to meet someone like Charles, who's an older man, she sees the best in him right away. She becomes like putty in his hands.
Miss Desiree?
Yes.
Several visits later, Charles starts looking forward to more than just his welfare checks.
Charles knew what he wanted, and he saw it in Desiree. And so he started courting her at work. And he was persistent, and that was flattering to her.
What are you doing here?
Just a few weeks in, the two begin a passionate affair, spending almost all of their time together at his sister's house where he's staying. After seeing Charles for almost a week, Desiree brings him home to meet her parents. The meeting doesn't go as well as she hopes.
How did you two meet? And her mom, dad didn't understand and did not welcome Charles's intrusion in her life.
48.
Was enough to give them pause and threw up a bunch of red flags for them.
Desiree's parents really don't like Charles. They see him as a predator. After all, he comes from their generation. He's got a lot more experience than she does, and they know that she's really naive to the ways of the world.
Over the next month, Desiree spends more and more time with Charles and less time at home.
She still had contact with her children, but they primarily lived with their grandparents during that period, but mostly she stayed with Charles and she avoided her parents.
It had to be disheartening for Desiree's mom and dad because here she was so easily swayed and just running off and literally forgetting her children.
Desiree had children when she was very young. In fact, when she was just a child herself. Desiree never had that freedom that comes with being a youngster, being a teenager. Now she has that with Charles. But she did have parents who tried to keep her on the right path, the path of responsibility.
All seems well for the couple, until cutbacks at the welfare office force Desiree out of work.
We're having cutbacks and we have to let you go. I'm sorry.
All of a sudden, she lost her job. They no longer needed her services.
You have to let me go.
And here she looks at Charles. What are we going to do?
I lost my job.
Desiree's uncertainty is compounded by the fact that Charles has not been able to find employment because of his criminal record.
Charles, like so many others who are released from prison, oftentimes find themselves, they're going out searching for jobs. And on the application, it asks that question, and that question is one that a lot of employers shy away from, and they will turn you away. And he was turned away.
When Desiree's parents learn of their daughter's plight, they try to intervene.
They're telling her, come home, get your life together, we'll help you. And that's not what Desiree wanted. Desiree, if it were a choice between choosing between Charles and the comfort of her parents' home, she would rather be with Charles.
Let's go. Let's go.
Madly in love and not wanting to be a burden on either of their families any longer, the two take up residence in Desiree's car until they can figure something out.
Living in a car, very uncomfortable, and it starts not only to wear on them individually, but wear on them as a couple.
2 nights later, Charles tells Desiree he thinks he has a solution.
Get some cash, okay? Babe, you gotta eat. We gotta figure out a way to make some money, and it had to be pretty quick.
He revealed information about the robberies, his past.
I doubt that he told her about how lengthy his history was. I don't think he was ever truly honest with her.
Charles portrays himself to Desiree as a total victim of injustice, of society. Sort of like a Robin Hood type who robs from the rich and gives to the poor, but all in all doesn't really want to be involved in illegal activities, but has no choice. He's got to survive. And Desiree loves this man, is enthralled by him, and trusts him.
Charles tells Desiree how he went about robbing small businesses, and how it'd be a lot less dangerous to pull one off now if he had someone to scout the place out prior to him going in.
Me? You want me to help you?
He's pulling on her hard to get her to say, okay, I'm going to come in with you.
And so perhaps she's willing to do what she has to do in order for him to successfully get through a robbery.
With Desiree on board, there's only one more thing Charles needs: a gun. And she tells him she knows where they can get one.
Desiree started injecting her thoughts and her ideas on how they could make this life of crime work, if you will.
The next day, Desiree and Charles make a surprise visit to her parents' house.
So she knew her mother had a gun, and she volunteered her mom's gun to be used as they committed their crimes.
Desiree had only brought Charles to her parents' house 3 times. The last time she brought him over there, he stole the gun.
Desiree and Charles think they found the solution to their problems, but they'll soon find out.
It's kind of slow today.
If you play with fire, you're going to get burned.
She had family and children and everything in the world to live for. And she disregarded that for easy money. She put everything on the line for him.
26-year-old Desiree Satterwhite and her boyfriend, 48-year-old ex-convict Charles Camp, are homeless, jobless, and living in their car in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. That's when her man tells her he knows how to get some quick cash by hitting small shops.
I absolutely think that there was an attraction to that lifestyle. I think she perceived it as being romantic. She perceived it as being exciting. I think Desiree, in her heart of hearts, was a risk taker. And I think she had a good time with this. And I think that she perceived Charles as being powerful.
Later that afternoon, the duo makes their debut score.
The first location that they went to, that we have evidence of, was a sandwich shop in the city of Fort Worth on Maurice Avenue. It was located in a strip mall.
Desiree goes in and stakes the place out.
It's kind of slow today, isn't it?
Talk to the clerk, maybe look around, come back out, tell them how many people were inside.
She's seen that no one's here, there are no customers. And so, he goes into the store, and while he doesn't fire the firearm, he does brandish it and demand all the money.
For 20 minutes till I'm long gone.
The clerk hands over the cash and the robbery goes off without a hitch. Desiree and Charles flee with their take, a little over $100. It's barely enough to get them a hotel room for the night.
They weren't living high on the hog at all. They had enough money at the end of the day to get a room and some food and gas.
Well, babe, this is how we
You would think that maybe they went out and partied and had a good time, and actually they took care of business. They wanted to eat, and they paid the car insurance. It was their home. They needed to have it secured, but that money was gone. It wasn't much, so it was gone quickly, and they needed to come up with more, and there you start hatching the plans for more robberies, more victims.
A fantasy the two turn into a reality in and around the greater Dallas-Fort Worth area several more times.
Desiree had an opportunity to make the right decision. She could have gone home to her parents and to her children in a normal life. But instead, she decided to stay there and abet that particular situation. Most likely because it was for her love for Charles, and just as important, the fact that this was so exciting. It brought a new meaning to her life.
As usual, their spoils are only enough for essentials and an occasional hotel room.
And this is the big payoff. This is a reward for all the work that they've done, all the crimes that they've committed thus far, just to be able to sleep in a bed.
Over the next 6 days, Charles and Desiree keep their heists going.
They were spacing them out geographically as they committed more offenses. I'm not positive even that we know all of the offenses they committed.
I think Desiree and Charles believed as long as they kept going to different jurisdictions and doing robberies in different cities, that they could keep hopscotching their way across Texas, and that way they could roam around.
And the more places they rob, the more it becomes equal part necessity and equal part thrill.
You got the idea that they felt invincible and that they were feeding off of one another's energy. Desiree saw this man as her knight in shining armor, and she was his ride or die chick.
Desiree and Charles are caught up in their own world, in their own fantasy, in their own reality. For them, it's day-to-day, robbery by robbery.
Then 11 days into their spree, Desiree and Charles are so desperate for cash, they return to the scene of their first crime, to rob another store a few doors down.
And that turned out to be a mistake for them. It put them in a location where people could compare notes and identify them.
In addition, the new location is also a lot more high-tech than the first one.
That store had a beautiful video surveillance system. So when they left the store, we had wonderful video footage of their faces and Desiree's car.
Desiree and Charles don't know it, but their images have made their way across all the local jurisdictions, and a manhunt ensues.
The police were working together once they determined that there was a pattern here.
And when Desiree and Charles try their luck in Dallas, their luck will finally run out.
29 to dispatch.
When they were stopped by the police, the firearm that was used to commit the offenses was in the car.
She and Charles were in this together. They quickly reached a point of no return.
In Grand Prairie, Texas, Desiree Satterwhite has been enlisted into a life of crime by her ex-con boyfriend, Charles Camp. The two are suspected of the armed robberies of 8 businesses in just 11 days. And police from 4 jurisdictions are hot on their heels.
You got the idea that they felt invincible and that they were feeding off of one another's energy. She was supporting him and lifting him up.
A Be on the Lookout is issued, featuring pictures and detailed descriptions of Charles, Desiree, and Desiree's car.
Desiree and Charles were oblivious to the fact that police were putting the pieces together and they were ready to pounce, really, at that point. It was only a matter of time.
So far, they've been able to skirt the law, but one crisp morning 18 miles down the road in Dallas, their luck runs out.
29 to dispatch.
A police officer observed them scoping out businesses in Dallas and saw the vehicle and saw the individuals in the vehicle and realized they were identical to the description that had been given.
As officers move in, Desiree and Charles's gun is in plain sight.
It was right there in the car and was within arm's reach of both defendants when they were stopped. It is very lucky for those police officers that they didn't decide to run or to shoot.
Desiree and Charles are arrested without incident and taken into custody. Under the interrogation spotlight, Desiree covers her own skin.
Initially, she denied responsibility. Then she minimized the situation significantly. For example, she told the police that she'd only known Charles for 2 to 3 weeks, when in fact she'd known him for longer than that.
When investigators tell her she's facing felony charges, Desiree's flabbergasted.
She hasn't done anything illegal as far as she's concerned. She's just kind of been a passenger along on a joyride.
Because she was thinking she did not have any firearms, she did not threaten anyone. All she did was go in and case the place and drive away.
This is what Desiree may have been thinking all along. I'm not the one with the gun. I'm not the one demanding the money. I'm not the one committing the crime. But the fact of the matter is, she was involved in a crime.
Eventually, she started conceding that she had done things that made her a party to the offense, but she attempted to suggest that she didn't know what was going on. When that didn't work, then she tried to suggest that Charles had coerced her or forced her in some fashion. After a period of time, she did concede that she had assisted in the commission of the robberies, and she described her own conduct.
But Charles is not as uncaring toward his love of 1 month. Knowing Desiree has her whole life ahead of her and children to take care of, he falls on his sword for her and tries to absolve her of any involvement.
Charles painted a picture of Desiree as not being culpable. He made her seem like she was innocent and it was all him.
Charles constantly tried to convince us that she was not involved and that she had no responsibility for it.
But despite Charles's best efforts, prosecutors charged Desiree with the same charge as him: 3 counts of aggravated robbery with a deadly weapon.
Desiree was very much an active part in the commission of this crime. The car was hers, and all the evidence points to the fact that she was the one driving. Then she would go in and make sure that the times were right for an aggravated robbery.
Like it's showtime.
Prosecutors offer Desiree a deal, a 16-year sentence if she pleads guilty. She rejects it.
I think that she thought, because of her lack of criminal history, and that she was young and pretty and not very threatening appearing, I think she thought that she could kind of get away with it.
Her parents are crushed. They want Desiree to accept this deal. They want Desiree to be part of their lives and to have a normal life. But once again, she turns her back on them.
Desiree goes on trial a few months later. After an 8-day trial, the jury takes less than 20 minutes to find Desiree guilty on 3 counts of aggravated armed robbery. She is sentenced to 40 years in prison.
Charles, on the other hand, his long record played against him in a big way. He was sentenced to life in prison. He's never going to be outside of a prison wall during his life.
Charles' past came back to haunt him, and now he's paying the price. Desiree may not have had a past like Charles, but now she's paying the price by not having a future.
Desiree has a lot of lessons to learn, but they're not going to come immediately for her. She's missing a lot of time in her children's lives and her parents. 40 years, her parents could be gone by the time she gets out. And then her and Charles will never be together again.
Desiree had parents who cared about her. She had a good support system. Didn't have to be this way for her.
दुनिया दो दिन दी बंदावे मौत दमाल दुनिया दो दिन दी दुनिया दो दिन दी बंदावे मौत दमाल दुनिया दो दिन दी आए कर तू कुछ ख्याल दुनिया दो दिन दी खाक समाए ओढ़क जा बिच खाक समाए आए हो गए ख्वाब ख्याल दुनिया दो दिन दी आए हो गए ख्वाब ख्याल दुनिया दो दिन दी दुनिया दो दिन दी बंदावे मौत दा माल दुनिया दो दिन दी ऊंचे लम्हे महल बना दे ऊंचे लम्हे महल बना दे दगा फरेब ते जुल्म कमा दे दगा फरेब ते जुल्म कमा दे हाय कुछ नहीं खड़दे नाल दुनिया दो दिन दी हाय कुछ नहीं खड़दे नाल दुनिया दो दिन दी ओ दुनिया दो दिन दी बंदावे मौत दा माल दुनिया दो दिन दी दुनिया देंदी दुख बतेरे दुनिया देंदी दुख बतेरे वीरा कोलू वीर नखेड़े वीरा कोलू वीर नखेड़े आए मावा तू विछड़े लाल दुनिया दो दिन दी आए मावा तू विछड़े लाल दुनिया दो दिन दी ओ दुनिया दो दिन दी बंदावे मौत दा माल दुनिया दो दिन दी सारे संगी सुख दे सजना सारे संगी नस जांदे जद आवे तंगी नस जांदे जद आवे तंगी हाय कोई नहीं गम दा प्याल दुनिया दो दिन दी ओह कोई नहीं गम दा प्याल दुनिया दो दिन दी हसना रोना गम लाचारी हसना रोना गम लाचारी आज मेरी कल तेरी बारी आज मेरी कल तेरी बारी हाय कंजरी दी मिसाल दुनिया दो दिन दी हाय कर तू कुछ ख्याल दुनिया दो दिन दी ओ दुनिया दो दिन दी बंदा बे मौत दा माल दुनिया दो दिन दी ओह कर तू कुछ ख्याल दुनिया दो दिन दी पुत वे तुड़ा नी मिट्टी दा वीरा पुत तुड़ा नी मिट्टी दा वीरा अपना आप संभाल बशीरा अपना आप संभाल बशीरा हाय मिट्टी मिट्टी दा माल दुनिया दो दिन दी हाय मिट्टी मिट्टी दा माल दुनिया दो दिन दी हाय कर तू कुछ ख्याल दुनिया दो दिन दी हाय कर तू कुछ ख्याल दुनिया दो दिन दी ओ दुनिया दो दिन दी बंदा मिट्टी दा माल दुनिया दो दिन दी हाय कर तू कुछ ख्याल दुनिया दो दिन दी हाय कर तू कुछ ख्याल दुनिया दो दिन दी दुनिया दो दिन दी बंदा बे मौत दा माल दुनिया दो दिन दी दुनिया दो दिन दी बंदा बे मौत दा माल दुनिया दो दिन दी आए कर तू कुछ ख्याल दुनिया दो दिन दी सुल्तान भी आए बड़े बड़े सुल्तान भी आए ओढ़क जा बिच खाक समाए ओढ़क जा बिच खाक समाए हाय हो गए ख्वाब ख्याल दुनिया दो दिन दी हाय हो गए ख्वाब ख्याल दुनिया दो दिन दी दुनिया दो दिन दी बंदा बे मौत दा माल दुनिया दो दिन दी